character of this story is Ming Fei. He has a hobby of playing games and is also one of the top players on the server. While he is resting after a gaming session with his friend, someone texts to challenge Ming Fei. Of course, he agrees. Just starting off the match, Ming Fei learns that this person is also a top player, so he takes the fight seriously. Even so, he was still defeated by the opponent who knew all of his moves, and the one who defeated Ming Fei was Mo Tong, a student at Castle College. Ming Fei was rated as an S-rank student by the principal, so Mo Tong is ordered to arrange to go with Ye Sheng and Aki to meet Ming Fei to recruit him into Castle College. Mo Tong logs into Norma's system to view Ming Fei's basic information. According to the system, at school, Ming Fei has a secret crush named Cheng Wang Wang. Currently, Ming Fei is staying at his uncle and aunt's house and is penniless. It can be said that he is at the bottom of society. Ming Fei's parents left him for no reason. Before leaving, they left a large sum of money and asked his aunt and uncle to take care of him. But they've already spent all of it. Ming Fei has a simple dream of having a small newsstand like this old man. This makes Mo Tong find it difficult to understand why the principal would want to find someone like him. At the same time, Ming Fei received a letter of rejection from the International University, but he did get accepted into Castle College. Professor Good will serve as his lecturer and will also provide a scholarship to Ming Fei. Ming Fei brings the news to his aunt and uncle, and they think that it is a scam. Soon after, a call comes in from Castle College and tells them to come in for an interview tomorrow. The next morning, Ming Fei goes to the interview and meets his classmates who are also preparing for the interview there. Among them is his crush. Soon it is Ming Fei's turn. His interviewer is Sakatoku Aki. Aki's first question is, "Do you believe in the existence of aliens?" He is shocked because he thinks that the question will be about introducing himself, but he still answers Aki's question. The second question is, "Do you believe in superpowers?" Ming Fei answers yes, and a third question is about spirit and soul. At this point, Ming Fei thinks that they are joking with him, so he refuses to answer and walks out of the interview room. His classmates look down on him because he is the only one that got out of the interview room the fastest. After Ming Fei leaves, Professor Good comes to ask about the outcome of Ming Fei's interview. As soon as the professor learns that Ming Fei has given up on the interview, he expresses great regret. If the professor was here, he would definitely kneel down to beg Ming Fei. Cheng Wang Wang wants to hold a graduation ceremony at the cinema, so she invites Ming Fei to attend the party in the next 2 days. After returning home, he learns that Professor Good has called to say that he has passed the interview. The next morning, Professor Good makes an appointment to meet with Ming Fei and his aunt's family to discuss about his studies. The conversation has just begun. His aunt immediately asks about money if he will study at this Castle College. The professor says that each year, the school will award scholarship of about $36,000 to each student. His aunt and uncle hear that, and the amount is too large, and happily agree to let Ming Fei attend at his school. The school chose Ming Fei because they think that Ming Fei is a rare 100-year-old talent. There is also another reason. That is because Ming Fei's parents were honorary students at this college. The professor gives Ming Fei a letter written by his parents to the principal, and also a message from the principal himself, which shook his soul. Ming Fei takes the letter and runs to the bathroom to read it. In the letter, Ming Fei's mother mentioned to the principal that she wanted to request at Castle College to enroll Ming Fei into the school. At the end of the letter, they also clearly wrote the words, "Mom and Dad loves you," even though it was only letters written on paper. But Ming Fei can't even make out his mother's voice. Reading this letter, he knows that his parents truly loved him, and can't help but break down in a teary mess. Suddenly, Mo Tong appears and says that this is the woman's restroom, causing Ming Fei's emotion to be interrupted, and feels extremely embarrassed. They then return to the dining table, where the professor asks about Ming Fei's decision about his enrollment, but he says that he needs more time to think. Mo Tong was notified before that Ming Fei's hesitation is because of Cheng Wang Wang. Ming Fei thinks that Mo Tong just accidentally guessed the cause. At this point, he discovers that Mo Tong was the player who defeated him. That night, Ming Fei couldn't understand why Mo Tong knew so much about his private affairs. He holds his phones, thinking of Cheng Wang Wang, and confesses his feelings to her. Just then, Mo Tong suddenly appears behind him, startling him. The professor ordered Mo Tong to come here to advise Ming Fei to join Castle College. Seeing that Ming Fei is still hesitant, Mo Tong says that Cheng Wang Wang doesn't like him. Of course, Ming Fei won't give up so easily because he loves her too much. Mo Tong has no choice but to help Ming Fei devise a plan to confess to Cheng Wang Wang. Then she wishes him luck and leaves. She uses the Norma system to check all the information about Chen Weng. The next morning, Mingfei and Chen Weng go to buy some supplies to prepare for tomorrow's graduation ceremony. Motong once again appears and advises Mingfei to immediately leave Chen Weng. She says that the professor is leaving tonight, so he needs to make a decision by then. Because Mingfei decides to confess to Chen Weng tomorrow at the graduation ceremony, so he refuses to pick wildflowers to prepare to confess to Chen Weng. As the graduation ceremony is about to begin, Zhao Minghua gives Mingfei a suit. These two classmates are also wearing suits because they are hired by Zhao Minghua. Soon the ceremony begins. Mingfei plans to step up to the stage to confess to Chen Weng, but today, Zhao Minghua made an extravagant entrance to confess to Chen Weng. At this point, Mingfei realizes that Zhao Minghua is playing a prank on him, and it is even more painful to see Chen Weng express her feelings to Zhao Minghua. Mingfei's heart now feels like 1,000 knives cutting into it. While Mingfei is heartbroken and desperate, suddenly, Motong appears in an extremely gorgeous outfit, making his classmates gasp in surprise. Motong claps her hands to signal the girl to change Mingfei's outfit. She tells Minghua that Mingfei has more important things to take care of, which angers Minghua. She asks that everyone can forget about Mingfei from now on, because they will never get a chance to see him again. Motong wants Mingfei to turn around to look at them one last time, but he refuses because now he just wants to move forward. After driving for a while, their car runs out of gas, and Motong doesn't forget her purpose is to convince Mingfei. The only reason for Mingfei's hesitation is now gone, so he agrees to enroll into Castle College. Then the Norma system checked and saved Mingfei's information. The Norma system also sends Mingfei's information to the students in Castle College. A few days later, Mingfei is looking for a train to Castle College, but the guard thinks that he is a beggar, so he doesn't welcome him. The restaurant also thinks Mingfei is a beggar, so they don't let him in either. This station is getting on his nerves. When a young man named Finger comes to talk to Mingfei, it turns out that Finger is also penniless, so he wants to borrow money from Mingfei to buy soft drinks. At this point, Finger recognizes Mingfei as a member of Castle College and says that he is a senior at the same school as Mingfei. Finger says that Castle College is located deep in the mountains and isolated from the outside world, so only the school's secret train can go there. Finger asks that if Mingfei is a high-ranked student, someone will come to pick him up to the college. For students with low ranks, they can only wait for the secret train to go to the college. Mingfei sits waiting for the train and falls asleep. In his dreams, he meets a boy in Castle College's uniform, and it seems that he has known Mingfei for a long time. Just then, the bell of the secret
Want it? Swiggy it.
secret train rings, waking Finger and Mingfei. From the shadows, a man walks over to check Finger and Mingfei's passports. The examiner and Finger are shocked to learn that Mingfei is an S-rank student, roughly the same rank as the principals. The two guess that Mingfei forgot to swipe his student card, so no one came to pick him up. Soon after, Mingfei tries swiping his student card, causing the whole station to glow up. All devices switch to a special mode, reserved for high-ranking people. Moments later, a luxury train arrives to pick up Mingfei. Professor Good opens the train door and is delighted to see Mingfei again. While they are on their way to the college, the professor wants to talk to Mingfei in private for a bit, so he tells Finger to go away. The professor gives Mingfei the contract and explains why the school is confidential. The professor reveals that the subjects the Castle College is studying are dragons. The purpose of dragon research is to exterminate them. Mingfei doesn't believe what the professor is saying and presumes that he is mentally ill. Then, without knowing it, Mingfei suddenly faints and meets the boy from before. The boy says that what the professor said is all true. He shows Mingfei a scene where the ancestor of all dragons, Nidhogg, was killed 1,000 years ago. They called that day as the start of a new age. After a while, Mingfei wakes up. The professor knows that Mingfei doesn't believe what he said, so he brings in 2 ancient relics. The professor then takes out a scale and asks Mingfei to use a gun to shoot it. As a result, the scale is not even scratched. The professor reveals that this is a dragon scale, but Mingfei still doesn't believe it, so the professor takes out the second relic. Inside the black box is a bright yellow baby dragon in a deep sleep. However, Mingfei still doesn't believe it and thinks that this is an artist's works of art. The professor asks Mingfei to take a closer look. It is at this moment that the baby dragon suddenly wakes up and aggressively tries to break the black box to get out. But as it flails, it goes back into its deep slumber. The black box is made of nanomaterials, so it can withstand its power. After witnessing this, Ming-Fei also gradually accepts the fact that dragons exist. Ming-Fei has no other choice to accept to study here because, if he refuses, he will be brainwashed into an idiot based on the contract. According to what they have researched, high-ranking dragons are sleeping in China, and each student is responsible for going to the central region of China to kill the Dragon King. Ming-Fei feels strange that he has been walking around for so long, but still hasn't seen any other students. At this time, a siren sounds off, and all the students in the school are holding guns and shooting at each other. Even the professor gets shot. Ming-Fei is very frightened by the scene before him. The students are trying to kill each other mercilessly. Moments after the gunfight stopped, both teams were left with only one leader and one teammate. Both leaders then meet at the center to end this battle with swordsmanship. Ming-Fei intends to find a doctor to save the professor when he accidentally witnesses their battle. It can be seen that both have amazing sword skills and are equally capable. At this moment, Mo Tong suddenly appears and points her gun at Ming-Fei and tells him to crouch down because there's a student behind him. As a result, Mo Tong was defeated because Ming-Fei was too slow for her to fire first. Seeing Mo Tong fall in front of him, Ming-Fei is angry and immediately picks up the gun to avenge her. At the same time, he also holds a rifle and shoots at the two leaders fighting outside. After that, the music that ends the battle sounds, and the school nurses come in to give first aid to the wounded. And this is Professor Main, the school's financial manager. Professor Good's sudden awakening makes Ming-Fei think that he is possessed by a demon, and he is trying to use a spell to purify him. Seeing that Ming-Fei is obviously confused, Professor Good explains that this was just a training battle, and that they use anesthetic bullets with fake blood during the battle. To prove the professor's point, he stabs himself with a bullet, and of course he continues to faint. Soon after, most of the students regain consciousness, and Professor Main angrily calls the principal to ask to stop this activity because the cost of the damage to the facilities this year is too great. But it seems that the principal sides with the students. On the Day of Liberty, students can cause trouble as long as they don't cause death or injury to each other. The principal also praises Ming-Fei for defeating Caesar in Chu Zhihong on the first day of school. All the students present are staring at Ming-Fei when they learn that he is an S-rank rookie. To avoid trouble, he quickly brings his luggage and heads to the dormitory with Finger. Finger then takes Ming-Fei on a tour around Castle College. Since Ming-Fei doesn't know anything about Yanling magic, Finger takes him on a tour of some of the classrooms that teach about Yanling. The power of Yanling stems from the resonance between the dragons and its bloodline. The power of Yanling is divided into 7 types. Yanling magic was discovered to have nearly 100 types and was arranged in order. The higher the magic, the stronger the power. At this time, a student uses Yanling magic and loses control. Fortunately, there was a lecturer there to stop it in time. Soon, Ming-Fei is attracted to a tree, which looks like it's about to die. Finger says that it is the World Tree, and it is sculpted by the college because the Black Dragon King is sealed under the World Tree. Right after that, Professor Good comes to see Ming-Fei to do a little test. The professor is anxious to see Ming-Fei's bloodline, so he brings a music box containing the roar of the Dragon King. That sound is the source of all Yanling. The effect of this roar is also ranked first in the list of Yanling. It's called Imperium. The professor starts playing the song to wake Ming-Fei's bloodline. However, Ming-Fei doesn't feel anything. The song does make him feel sleepy. The professor attributes it to the human genes that overwhelms the dragon genes. After thinking for a while, the professor figures out a very scary reason, so he runs away. Finger takes the opportunity to post the news that Ming-Fei has no reaction to the Imperium Yanling on the college website. Ming-Fei meanwhile is very worried because if he fails the test tomorrow, he'll be brainwashed and sent back to his country. Finger sees this and wants to help Ming-Fei cheat. As a good student, he will of course agree with Finger's idea. By now, all the students know that Ming-Fei has no reaction to Imperium Yanling. Professor Good hurriedly calls Professor Main to the library and waits for him. Professor Good believes that Ming-Fei is related to the White Emperor, an entity that can oppose the Black Emperor. According to what the two professors deduced, Ming-Fei was not affected by the Black Emperor's Imperium Yanling, so he might be related to the White Emperor. If Ming-Fei really has the blood of the White Emperor, he will become a rare research object. Professor Good did not want this to happen, so he asked Professor Main to keep it a secret. Professor Main agrees to keep this a secret, if Ming-Fei can pass the upcoming exam. That night, a mysterious man comes to Norma's system to activate the Eva personality program and asks her to help Ming-Fei pass the exam tomorrow. The next day, Ming-Fei and the other rookies start the test, but the test paper is just a blank page. Ming-Fei already knew the answer to the exam question this time, thanks to Finger's help. The reason Finger knows the exam questions in advance is that he failed the exam 8 times, and the exam questions don't change every year. This year's exam is still the same. It involves listening to the sounds of dragons, and then in the minds of the students will appear hallucinations. With Finger's help, Ming-Fei can easily get 7 correct answers. At this time, Ming-Fei suddenly falls asleep and meets the boy. During the talk, he says incomprehensible words, until Ming-Fei wakes up. The exam lasted 3 hours, and Ming-Fei slept for 2 hours. But Motong says the result didn't seem to matter. After that, the exam results are announced, and Ming-Fei also successfully passes the exam thanks to cheating. At the same time, Ye Sheng and Aki are tasked with finding traces of dragons. The two dive into the sea and open the Norma system to scan the surrounding terrain. To save time, Aki tells Ye Sheng to use his void snakes to search around. Thousands of snakes split up looking for traces of the dragon. After searching for a while, Ye Sheng discovers that 40 meters below, there is a lot of metal. At this moment, Professor Mans orders Ye Sheng and Aki to leave immediately because there is a magnitude 5 earthquake on the seabed. However, before they can retreat, the ground began shaking, causing Ye Sheng and Aki to be caught in the earthquake. The two are swept away by the flow of water and arrive at the deepest parts of the sea. Here, what seems to be the palace of the Dragon King, Norton. Professor Mans asks the principal to approve his use of the key, and this key is this child, which is the only key the college has at the moment. This child is highly purebred compared to the Dragon King, Norton. After a while, the professor brings the child to meet with Ye Sheng and Aki. They have 12 hours to work in the water. The professor starts using his Yanling to open the door. A beam of light strikes the stone statue, revealing it to be the gatekeeper. After that, the child awakens and continues to use its blood to drip onto the gatekeeper. The blood slowly trickles into the gatekeeper's mouth, and from his tongue comes out a key, which they use to open the gate. The professor then sends Aki and Ye Sheng on a mission to get the Dragon King's skeleton out of the ruins, and if they don't succeed, use nuclear bullet to destroy it. Ye Sheng and Aki begin to enter the ruins in search of Norton's skeleton. It can be seen that this is an extremely complex structure. Ye Sheng will go find the location of the snake he previously ordered to look for the skeleton, and Aki will stay here to take pictures for documentation. At this time, Aki notices that there are dragon characters on the branches, so she takes pictures of them and gives them to Norma's system to analyze. Suddenly, Aki's heart rate increases rapidly, and her lifeline is also severed. After a while, Ye Sheng comes back because the skeleton is too heavy to bring back, and that they are running out of time. Not wanting to come back empty-handed, he tells Aki to take a bronze statue back for research, but when Aki touches the bronze statue, it activates the ruin's trap. Fortunately, Ye Sheng promptly rescues her from the statue's control. Ye Sheng found an urn that looks like an ossuary, so he decides to take it with him. The interior of the ruins begin to change constantly, so Ye Sheng and Aki are stuck in this place. At the same time, Ming-Fei hears the emergency bell ringing and dreams of the boy from before. He shows Ming-Fei how to use the map when the time is right. Ming-Fei is then awakened by Finger because the college is urgently summoning all the high-ranking students. The emergency summoning is because they want all the students to rescue Ye Sheng and Aki, who are stuck in the ruins of the Dragon King Norton's palace. The palace of the Dragon King is a huge machine. The interior structure will change constantly, so there is no fixed exit. Ye Sheng and Aki's oxygen only has 20 minutes left, so it is imperative that everyone urgently find a way to save them. Although the chance of rescuing them is almost hopeless, everyone is still trying their best. Ming-Fei wants to help them, but he doesn't know what to do. He suddenly remembers the dream, so he tries to follow the instructions of the boy. As a result, Ming-Fei successfully deciphers the labyrinth of the Northern Dragon Palace and finds a way out for Ye Sheng and Aki. After receiving the deciphered escape route, Aki and Ye Sheng try to get out, but the exit route would constantly change, making it impossible to escape. Getting back to shore, Ye Sheng asks the key to help them. The key opens its eyes and reveals to them the most optimal way, traveling right through the labyrinth itself. With some calculations, Professor Mans is confident that they still have enough oxygen to surface. However, after cutting contact with the professor, since Ye Sheng couldn't keep using the Void Snake, Aki began to worry as she knows that they don't have enough air and wanted to tell Ye Sheng something. Before she could, Ye Sheng kisses her and assures her that they will survive. Back on the carrier, while celebrating their success on this mission, the professor realized that their calculations were completely wrong. At the college, meanwhile, Ming Fei got called by his friend back home, and he told them about the hardships and worries that he's going through. His friend tried his best to cheer up Ming Fei. However, Ming Fei still felt uneasy. Professor Mans, after 14 minutes of searching for the two, was forced to retreat. But before all hope was lost, Aki surfaced and gave the search team the urn, while saying that Ye Sheng traded his life to retrieve it, before she is then pulled away by something and didn't surface again. Distraught, Professor Mans orders to start the engine, as he also sees that something big is approaching them. He guesses that this beast was the one that took the lives of his students, so now he'll get revenge. After a barrage of gunfire and bombing from the professor, they thought the beast was dead. The professor was calmly talking to his only student left, Selma, about what that beast might have been, when she is impaled from behind and dragged into the water. The professor went berserk and fired non-stop at the water. The beast started to swim around the carrier, taunting them as they themselves had not much fuel left and was far from land. But, with the directions from the professor, they steered the carrier to the nearest dam. They were about to crash into the dam, until Professor Mans told the key to open the gates, allowing them and the beast to enter as well. As the beast was about to catch up, with efforts from the professor, the key, and the detonation of the remaining bombs in its stomach, they were able to trap and kill the beast. However, Professor Mans was shot by one of its fangs. After waiting for a while, Principal Anjo announces that the team on the carrier are safe, and he thanks the student who has made the greatest contribution to this rescue mission, Ming Fei. Everyone applauds Ming Fei. After everyone has dispersed, Zhu Zihang goes to see Ming Fei. He wants to invite Ming Fei to join the Lionheart Association, and says that he needs a suitable successor for this club. Suddenly, the bell rings. Zihang says that it is an announcement that someone has died, and the school will release white pigeons to remember them. It turns out that the entire Professor Man's unit is dead, including Ye Sheng and Aki. The principal must report a lie so as not to cause panic among the students. The next morning, when Ming Fei turns on the computer and sees Mo Tong's email, she invites Ming Fei to a welcoming dinner tomorrow. Caesar said that he would like to have a chat with him. It looks like the student council wants to recruit Ming Fei as well. Finger reveals Caesar's family background. Caesar's family is the most famous family in the Western world. He is the only heir of the family, and will be the future emperor in the Western world. His first words at school became the school's famous quote, "You can challenge me, but I am ready to laugh at you." It's so arrogant. In the evening, Ming Fei and Finger go to the party together, and they see a truck coming their way. Behind the truck is a trail of roses. Mo Tong then appears in the same dress she wore when she saved Ming Fei. Ming Fei sees Mo Tong and has a smile on his face, but it's quickly extinguished when Caesar calls Mo Tong. Caesar and Mo Tong go inside together. The butler rings the bell to announce the arrival of Caesar and Mo Tong. Today's party is to celebrate Mo Tong's birthday. Caesar motioned to start the party. Caesar is an arrogant person. He wants Ming Fei on his side, but he always shows the opposite. He claps his hands to get everyone's attention and calls Ming Fei. He says that if Ming Fei agrees to join the student council, then he should come and stand beside him. If he doesn't agree, he can leave from the door over there. He gives Ming Fei a song's time for him to make the decision. Suddenly, a girl with the alias, Zero, comes to invite Ming Fei to dance with her. Finger pushes Ming Fei towards Zero, and they start dancing together. Zero instructing Ming Fei to dance in the most understandable way. Just like that, they dance very well and receive applause from everyone. After ending the dance, Zero says goodbye to Ming Fei and leaves. At this time, Mo Tong also walks out of the party. Ming Fei runs after Mo Tong to say happy birthday to her. Mo Tong asks Ming Fei to drive her up the hill because she wants to walk around. At this moment, the normal system informs everyone that there are invaders entering the school. The intruders split into 3 groups and split off in 3 different directions. Their aim is to claim the brass urn that Aki and Yesheng sacrificed their lives to acquire. Norma begins to warn the students to prepare for battle. At this moment, Mingfei and Motong are on their way to the hill. Suddenly, Mingfei looks over and sees the boy, named Lu Mingze, startling him. Mingze asks Mingfei to confess to Motong. He says that he will help Mingfei to prepare the flowers. He then touches Mingfei's head with his finger to release some kind of seal. The car suddenly shuts down and they continue walking to the hill. Back at the college, the intruders had split into 3 teams and went in 3 different directions. But 2 of the teams were caught. There was only 1 team left, but Norma had yet to locate them. The masked professor tells Professor Mainstein to use the Void Serpent to find them. But Mainstein says that the college is being protected by the spirit language of the Night Watchman, so they can't use spirit language. It's like a barrier that disables spirit powers to avoid students using spirit language at will. Mainstein calls the Night Watchman to tell him to remove his spirit language so that everyone can use spirit language. It turns out that Mainstein is the son of the Night Watchman. Night Watchman begins to remove the barrier that sealed everyone's spirit power. Norma informs all the students that they can use spirit language now. Everyone's spirit power was being released from their eyes. Mainstein uses the Void Serpent to search for the remaining intruders. One of them is entering the wine storage. This man's alias is called 13. He infiltrated the college at the behest of someone who hired him. At the church, where Caesar was assigned to guard, he begins to use the spirit language, Sickle. His spirit language is ranked 59th. The higher the rank of the spirit language, the stronger the user's power. The highest is ranked at 100. After using spirit language to check the surroundings, Caesar discovers several intruders heading towards him in Zihang. He calls Zihang to inform him of the current situation. At the library, Zihang takes on the task of guarding it. The students who are near Zihang's location are being asked to stay away from the library because Zihang's spirit language is very strong and can injure people around him. Some intruders enter the church. They are invisible thanks to their captain's spirit language, but it seems that Caesar can see them. He breaks the spirit language of the captain and makes them show up. This girl's name is Sakatoku Mai. Caesar sees that her last name is the same as Aki's, and she also admits that she is Aki's older sister, which surprises everyone. Mai throws a phone that is playing a song, and it says that when the song ends, the game starts. Caesar asks Norma to turn off the lights when the song ends. After the song ends, the lights go off, and the battle between the 2 factions begins in the dark. When the lights came back, only the 2 captains of the 2 factions remained. Members of both factions are only put into a coma because they agree to use anesthetic bullets. Mai reveals her own purpose, which is to buy time. The 2 continue their own battle. Caesar activates his spirit language. Darkness envelops this area. In his dark area, no one can hide. Mai has just approached Caesar when he points the gun at her head. But suddenly, Mai disappears, surprising Caesar. An intruder starts entering the library as well. This girl's alias is 3No. Professor Good wonders why 3No doesn't carry any weapons. The masked professor believes that she is so strong that she doesn't need to use weapons. But Zihang's spirit language is also ranked quite high. Zihang starts to activate the spirit language, which is ranked 89th. Professor Good is surprised to see Zihang's spirit language. 3No also uses spirit language, which is also ranked 89th. At this point, 13 follows the leader's instructions and falls into water. He discovers an old door below. He thinks that the college is hiding something inside. He opens the door. At this time, Mingfei and Motong are chatting by a lake. She invites Mingfei to join the student council. She says that she wants a little brother in the student council. She adds that she comes here because she wants to receive a gift from a woman on her birthday. She wonders what the present will be this year. Motong mutters that she wants a bouquet of flowers. Suddenly, music is coming from inside the car, and the sky is then filled with fireworks. Motong looks very happy, but it seems this firework display is not for her. He jumps out of the tank and continues to inspect the area. After going to check the rooms, he finds the location of the brass urn, and suddenly, the image of someone appears in front of him. He is also like Mingfei. There is always a boy who appears in his mind. He approaches the brass urn and is prevented by the defense system, causing him pain. He finds his quest too difficult, so he gives up the quest as well as the bounty and leaves. After he leaves, a mysterious man appears and helps 13 to take the final step in this quest. He pours some kind of liquid on the egg along with his blood to awaken the great Nidhogg. Inside Caesar's dark barrier, he is in trouble when he can't guess Mai's location. He is battling with her illusions. He is then forced to use high-level spirit language to find Mai's true location. Although they initially agreed to only use knives, Mai pulls out a gun and points it at Caesar's head. Suddenly, a huge explosion occurs, causing the match to be interrupted. Caesar suggests stopping the match, and Mai also agrees. They go to look for the cause of the explosion. When they see someone's burning footprints on the ground and a burned hole in the wall, Caesar guesses that this person's temperature might be equal to that of the sun. Motong's car suddenly works again, and they return to the college. While on her way back to the college, Motong's phone rings, and she receives the message from Caesar that the college is under attack by some organization. At the library, the battle between Zihang and 3No is still ongoing. The math professor notices that 3No is still not using her full strength, and Zihang is in a stalemate. At this time, 13 drives his motorcycle towards the college gate to escape. Professor Good orders the students to stop 13, but it seems that his driving skills are too good and dodges all of the bullets. Zihang asks 3No if this is her plan. 3No says that that was an unintended incident, and then she leaves. Professor Mainstein calls the Night Watchman to beg him to neutralize the dragon's powers, but the Night Watchman says that he can't, because it seems that the dragon is the first generation with a higher bloodline than him. In other words, he is one of the 4 Dragon Kings. He is supposed to be the controller of metal and fire, the Lord of Bronze and Fire. Mai and Caesar go to the dragon's place. Mai tries to call her teammates to report the current situation. The girl guesses that the dragon has been awakened in the wrong way, causing his powers to go out of control. His body will very quickly become unbearable and explode. The result will be a firestorm that consumes the entire hill. The girl says that the metal bullets won't work on a Dragon King, but they can use the non-metal bullets, Figa. Caesar and Mai start shooting the dragon with Figa bullets, causing him to be pushed back. It looks like it really works. The principal realizes the effects of Figa bullets, so he orders the students to use them as well. At this time, Finger, Luo Jie, and Ming Fei are gathered in a pool because they think that the fire dragon will be destroyed by the water. Suddenly, Luo Jie feels the dragon's presence and says that he is coming. They go on to come up with another plan. If they dive into the water, the dragon won't detect them. Ming Fei can't hold his breath anymore, so he rises up and sees that the scene has changed. He runs around to check and sees the Dragon King, and the Dragon King calls him brother.
That wraps up part 2 of Dragon Raja. The story is getting more interesting and mysterious, so many secrets to uncover. If you guys want me to continue covering the series, then be sure to support this video and I'll keep the Dragon Raja train going. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing anime recaps. See you all next time.